Let's do this thing. Welcome in, everyone. Episode number 495 of Three Guys Before the Game. This is where the creative staff did an unbelievable job on the title for this one, didn't they?
What is it?
This is Houston Preview.
Oh, man, that really catches you.
They sent it was a couple pages, single-spaced of potential topic titles, show titles. I said,
did some research on that.
They crowdsourced it. I think they went to ChatGPT.
Well, it does what it's supposed to. It tells you what the episode is. What's the episode? It's the Houston Preview.
You're always the big short guy when it comes to short titles.
Like, nobody cares about the title. Just put the thing out there. What is it? What's in the episode? It's the Houston Preview.
Titles are important.
Titles are huge, important. Welcome in, everybody.
I already lost interest.
Well, this one's a dead dud. Then this won't get any downloads, I'm sure. No one will listen to this. Because you clowns didn't spend an hour thinking about a nice, catchy newspaper headline.
We got to go hire someone from the New York Post to write our headlines.
Oh, yeah.
Worked out. Headlines have survived, haven't they?
Cougars extinct. Something like that. Three Guys Before the Game brought to us by
Headless body found in topless bar.
Three Guys Before the Game brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever dealer in the state of West Virginia. Visit them at burdettcamping.com. Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. Three Guys also brought to us by Go-Mart. Go for good times, go for Go-Mart. Details on how you can save bunches of money and stuff in just a little bit. Three Guys also brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. We take those boats down the water right now. Those trees are changing.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
It would be like you're in an aqua postcard.
Yeah.
Like an aqua postcard.
I don't know what that is, but...
Well, like you're on water. You're on water, but it's a postcard because the leaves are changing. I'll get you some flashcards.
This episode's
Nice
really good so
postcard.
far. We're off to a hell of a start.
Three Guys.
Do you ever get a postcard anymore?
Very rarely. But a guy I'm going to see down in Houston this week always used to send me postcards from all over the world. Chris Wallace, when he was traveling, looking for players all over the world. It says all they're talking about in Budapest are the Mountaineers.
You know how long it takes for a postcard to get from the other side of the world? You're lucky if it gets there.
He's normally home by then.
Yeah.
Three Guys also brought to us by the Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond the numbers. They're our sponsor for Spreads on Stats, which is coming up. Do you have good numbers?
I think you'll find these interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, that's very, very
Couple
good.
new ones, mixed in a couple new.
All right. Hey, before we jump into the frivolity and the numbers as West Virginia gets ready to take on the Houston Cougars, some cleanup from an episode several episodes ago. I was talking about my famous boar hunting trip, where I went out and killed a boar with one shot. One of the guys that was on that boar hunt had said that I was so elated that I, to bring it back up again, that I peed my pants. And I said on a recent episode that absolutely wasn't true. And it's not. But the point of that is this, that in no way whatsoever should there have been any implication, and I didn't intend there to be any implication between that guy and what was said and our sponsors at Burdett Camping, who have been absolutely fantastic foundation sponsor of this program. So just if there needs to be any clarification whatsoever, absolutely zero and none. And that's that. We cherish the Burdett Camping sponsorship. They've been great, and hopefully it's worked both ways. So just to clarify all of that.
Okay.
All right. So you guys going very dark today. Wearing a lot of black over there on the Three Guys apparel selection.
Just kind of, we didn't coordinate. It just happened. I mean,
Dana used to wear black. Dana liked black. You doing
black.
this? Is this an homage
Tribute to Dana?
to Dana?
I mean, big listener to the program. I assume he still listens.
He used to listen.
Yeah,
He used
he
to
still
take-
listens. So,
You think he still does?
hi, Dana. Yeah, good to see you again.
probably why I don't get a postcard from him.
Yeah, he used to listen when
Yeah.
you took his walk.
Sure, he did. Appreciate that.
So you think maybe tomorrow?
I'm sure he didn't listen during rice preparation. I'm sure he didn't tune in to us when they were getting ready for rice or UTSA. I'm sure he didn't have time. But as he's been on a walk this week, I'm sure he wanted to check in, see how we were doing.
Well, We're doing
There's no
great.
doubt.
Yeah, we're doing great. Hey, we were talking about this before we started rolling tape. Like he was great to work with. And Hoppy asked the question, like, why is there angst? Why is there angst over Dana? Why is there angst over Dana?
Before we get into that, Tony, I just want to lay out, I'm concerned about this game because you're going to play the Houston Mountaineers and
Cougars.
Coach Dana Holgorsen of the Mountaineers done a great job assembling talent on the offensive side. Their leading receiver, Mountaineer Sam Brown, tight end, Mountaineer Michael Laughlin, and Mountaineer Tony Mathis gives them depth at running back. So the Houston Mountaineers, I think, are going to be a real challenge this week.
I see what you're doing there.
I saw what
I see what he's doing.
Yeah.
Or some staff crossover too. It's not just
like
players.
half the staff.
Yeah, it's not just players.
But
Old home week down there.
in all seriousness, I think it's because we were talking about it. I mean, I think it's because, and maybe it's this way everywhere, is that fans buy in. Fans contribute not only their time and their money, but their emotional energy. It's personal for fans. Fandom is personal. And so you buy in. And you expect something in return. And what you expect is, obviously you expect wins. You expect to have relationships, even if you don't know them, with players, certain players you like. And you expect that the coach will also reciprocate and have a buy-in to, if not you personally, to the fans and to the state and to all things that are Mountaineer Nation. And that was not Dana's strength. Dana was a very good play caller. And it was his first job as head coach. And so he never fully embraced what it meant to be as a head coach of a Mountaineer football team. Now, maybe he didn't want to, or maybe didn't care, or maybe didn't know, but that didn't happen. And as a result, there was never a connection, which fans, I think, everywhere want, and especially Mountaineer Nation desire, and just didn't get. So it never was the kind of relationship that fans desire. And I think that's the biggest reason why, take out the wins and losses, when Dana left, it's kind of like, oh, okay. It just was, he was probably happy to go, and Mountaineer Nation was happy to move on.
No, I think a lot of
That was
what
well
you
said.
Yeah, I think a lot of what you said is true. I mean, people want to love their coach. People want to love the coach, unless it's okay if they can't hug you like a teddy bear if you win double figures of games all the time.
Yeah, you can be a jerk.
Then you can be an absolute unfriendly person. They're still going like double figure wins. But if it doesn't, what?
Because the reverse is also true. I mean, let's also be honest. You can be the greatest guy in the world, and if you're not winning what people think you should win, they don't give a bleep about the other stuff either.
Bill Stewart.
I understand some of the coach coming in and just saying, "Okay, what logo's on my shirt today?" Okay, fine. Here we go. I'm coaching football. I can kind of understand that. We all scream about fit. The next time there's a job opening, I'm going to scream about fit, and fit's wonderful. But at the end of the day, people are going to go after you if you don't win, and they're going to love you if you win, regardless of how you act to them. So I think some of that changes. I think a couple things too with Dana. His press conference this week, I thought he was as complimentary to West Virginia fans, quite frankly, more so than he ever was when he was here. I thought he said some really nice things about the fans. I thought he did a good job about that. The other part that's weird about this, when was the last time West Virginia faced a former coach?
Bobby Bowden, Gator Bowl.
A long time ago, right?
Took no joy in beating West Virginia.
2 Gator Bowls.
2010?
Yeah.
And
his last game.
Twice.
His last game.
Twice.
And
Stu was the coach.
He had been gone from here so long, it was hard to even see him as a West Virginia coach. He was the Florida State coach.
He was Bobby Bowden.
Yeah. So this is also a really unusual situation here, that you're going against somebody that was fairly recently just here.
Mm-hmm.
But also, both coaches this week downplayed that, right? Like, it's been 5 years. And I think appropriately, because when Dana and Coach
Neil.
Whew.
Hey, it's okay, Hoppy. Let's get. Come on, get you a warm glass of milk.
I have to go somewhere. I have to go. Are we finished? Is the show finished now?
Hey, that happens. Listen, they say.
Never mind. Whatever point I was going to make, forget about it.
Listen, they say it's not a problem unless you saw his face and didn't know who he was. That's when it's a problem.
The two coaches this week downplayed the whole Dana versus Brown thing appropriately, because this is more about how the fans feel about this at West Virginia. Houston, they probably don't care. How the fans at West Virginia feel about this, because when the coaches are watching game tape, they're not talking about that. They're talking about what the teams do. So I think it's irrelevant to the coaches themselves, but a big deal to the West Virginia fans.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And then the other part of this is there's that, and that's fun for us. This stuff is great for us, right? That spend hours talking about this. There's a lot of side storylines here and tentacles to it. But here's the other part of this: if you're West Virginia, and you've started 4-1, and you're heading to a place that you're favored in, and it's a game you think you should win, and quite frankly, you should win this. So this is a massive game in terms of this West Virginia program. And if you're Houston, it's also massive.
Sure, because they're struggling.
Right? The past employment history be damned. They need to get a win. They need to get a Big 12 win. They need to show they belong. Dana needs a win for some job security. There's a lot of football factors in this beyond the crossover of staffs and a couple players.
I mean, the crossover is really kind of is a sideshow to it. No, it's not the main attraction.
Yeah, the main attraction is both these teams could use a win here, and it's West Virginia sets up very nicely to go in here and pick up another road win.
Yeah, it's a fascinating game to me. So many different pieces, as you alluded to, Hoppy. I mean, there's 4 players on the Houston roster that are making, that are on this team. So you go defensively, you've got Noah Guzman, and offensively, you've got Mike O'Loughlin, and you've got Sam Brown. And Tony Mathis at running back, who we just saw. So that's 4 guys right there that we certainly know. And as Neil said yesterday, Malachi Ruffin is the only guy on this Mountaineer team who was here when Dana was here. There's a couple of guys that Dana had recruited, but they came in. Dana had left, but they stayed. So to that point, but, you take a look at their staff. Strength coach, Daryl Bauer, Kevin McAdam, Ryan Dorchester, Dakeil Shorts is their wide receivers coach.
Right.
Casey Smithson involved in their recruiting, player personnel.
Doug
Belk was an assistant here. He's their defensive coordinator, among others. So obviously, for those guys who have been here, it's a massive game just simply because it's the old gold and blue, and there they are. And on the other side of it, on this side, it might be more staff-related for West Virginia, not Neil's staff, because they weren't here. And Neil, as you said, went out of his way to say, hey, man, I see Dana every day when I drive into this building. You see that big Orange Bowl trophy, and he did a really good job here. He truly believes that, because he doesn't say that when he doesn't believe. Like, you didn't hear him say before they played Pitt, that Pat Narduzzi, I'll tell you what a fantastic job. Like, if he's not saying stuff if he doesn't believe it. He's not one of those coaches, and there's a lot of them out there that say things that are 100% opposite of what they truly believe, just to basically jack them.
Yeah, this is a fan and some select staff. More of it. Like Donovan Smith doesn't care that Dana used to be here. Nelson Caesar for them isn't lining up going, I'll tell you what, my coach used to be in West Virginia. I want these guys. I mean, I wouldn't think he cares, right? I mean, they're just going to go out and play because it's their next game. So, yeah, this is stuff for us to talk about more so than it is. So I think appropriate that Dana and Neil just tried to say, hey, okay, we got football stuff to prepare for.
I mean, they'll see each other before the game, and they'll have stuff to talk about.
I did chuckle, though. This was a summer storyline before the schedule came out. I did chuckle. Dana did say, when they asked him about playing West Virginia, he laughed and he said, yeah, I'm surprised we're playing in Houston. He goes, I had this pegged as a week 3 game in Morgantown, because I thought for sure the Big 12 would do that to us.
Well,
for saying that.
Big 12 still struggling to know what time zone these teams are in.
Well, my guess is that's why with Houston coming in the Central Time Zone, they just went ahead and put this game there so everybody know what time it was in the home Big 12 office. They didn't have to do the calculations.
Yeah, didn't want anyone from the home office arriving late.
Nah, they didn't want to mess that up there. Yeah. So they just went ahead and put Central Time.
Yeah. So we'll get into all of that and more, and some game time decisions regarding West Virginia's injuries. Offensive line, we already know that left guard Thomas Rimac is out. Left tackle Wyatt Milam could be out. You could lose your starting left and tackle and guard.
Those are significant stories, both.
That'll be
both of those.
Yeah, that'll be
because that's been a strength. That left side.
Oh hell yeah! They run off there.
I love that left side. Left end.
They've done a lot. The tight end swings around there, gets beside Wyatt Milam. That's been a good play.
You know, one thing I don't understand.
What?
Before we start into spreads on stats. So Houston, as a school, right, they were adamant wanting to get into a Power 5 conference. And I still to this moment am surprised that their fans have not embraced this. And people say, well, it's a pro town. Yeah, it's a pro town, but it's not a big stadium. But I'm looking at StubHub right now. You know what the tickets are?
There's some for $3.
There's some for $2. If you'd like to get some $2 tickets. And I'm looking at the purple is the available things. Like there are tickets all over this entire stadium except for 2 sections, except for 3 sections that are kind of midfield. And then the end zone must be students because they're unavailable. But like, and when they played TCU, their first Big 12 league game, 2 Texas schools, like absolutely gaping holes in their crowd.
Well,
That's not good. That's not good for your future.
I don't think they have a tradition of having fan following. You know, their big game is Rice. That's their rival, like their crosstown rival is Rice. So it's not as though, and I know they've had some success. I understand they've had success, but it's not as though they have this tradition that people will follow them for, years. Everybody's going to be there. It's just, and Tony, that's a big city with a lot going on, a lot.
Which means there's a lot of people. Like, go get me 45,000. We're talking millions of people.
Pro sports sound are tough.
Oh,
as someone that tried to sell tickets to college events in one of them one time.
Very tough. Like, look at Maryland.
You struggled at Maryland?
Oh my God. It was talk about a shock to the system when I drove in. First,
guys,
I'm like, what is happening here?
When Houston was because that game was at TCU, right? I think it was at TCU.
No. TCU was at Houston.
At Houston.
Yeah. TCU was at Houston.
It was one of the games, I think it was an away game, maybe. I forget, but I was reading stories about Houston, and I looked at the Houston newspaper. I think it's the Houston Chronicle, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
The story was a wire story.
Yeah, what's
that tell you?
Yeah.
It was a wire. No offense. All due respect to the Associated
wires.
Press, but still, it's a wire story. Like, oh, okay, here's the Houston story. Put that in there.
Yeah, I know. I get it. It just makes me, for as badly as they wanted to be in a Power 5, you'd think they're.
They'll think it'll come. I mean, probably, right?
Well, would it have come for TCU?
Well,
your first ever Big 12 conference. That thing should have been outside. People should have been outside.
Get it going. Win games. All
right, time now for. You ready, Brad?
Yep.
You sure you're ready? You're ready. Okay, let's do this thing.
So I checked the numbers. We'll just go right to the numbers. Here comes a heater. Let's jump into the analytics portion of the show.
This is Spreads on Stats, brought to us by the Conley CPA Group, serving clients throughout the state of West Virginia since 1985. What do? They provide you, the client, value beyond the numbers, so much more than preparing a tax return or adjusting account balances. They take a client-specific approach. The challenges that face you in your business, they're there for you. From audit and assurance, tax planning and preparation, consultation, advisory, to make sure that those Benjamins that should be staying in your pocket are staying in your pocket and not going to Uncle Sam. That's what they do, right? It's all fair. Businesses of all sizes able to free up time to focus on their most important needs in their business. It's the Conley CPA Group. So how did you term this? You said that you got interesting numbers, or what?
Yeah, I think I got some interesting, different numbers too. Tried to mix in a couple new ones for you.
New?
Yeah.
Only the best for the.
I won't be able to go all season with different numbers and categories, but we're still in some.
No one's going to call you a one-trick pony.
Got a bunch of different things. In fact, we're going to break away from just the Houston preview for a second and give you. I have provided an answer to a question that you emailed to me.
Oh yeah. I did.
Got an email from him. Very weird. Normally I don't check email very often, but I happened to see his come through.
I know you don't check email.
So tell me again what you want to know. Make sure I have this right. The number of points that West Virginia's defense was holding its opponents below its season average.
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So I went in, filtered out the West Virginia game and did the scoring average for each of West Virginia's opponents so far, and then what West Virginia gave up, and then ended with what they're holding on average.
I think the Conley CPA Group would validate that mathematical equation.
What's your acronym? Holding on average? What are you going to call it?
I don't know. I haven't done an acronym yet.
Okay, go ahead.
Just give you the information.
All right.
So here we go. Heavy stats here on the spread on stats, so bear with me. In order of opponent, Penn State averaging 37 points per game, 37.3 to be exact. Pitt averaging 22. Texas Tech 37.8. TCU 31.5. And then I'll get to Houston. Okay, so those are the averages. So Penn State averaging 37 points per game against every opponent other than West Virginia. West Virginia allowed 38 points to Penn State.
And that last touchdown should have been 31.
Correct.
Anyway, go ahead.
Pitt averaging 22. West Virginia allowed 6. Texas Tech averaging 37.8 against all other opponents. West Virginia averaged or allowed 13. TCU averaging 31.5. West Virginia allowed just 21 to the Horned Frogs. So that comes out to West Virginia's holding its opponents to 12.65 points below their season average, almost 2 touchdowns per game below its season average. And you're right, that'd be even more had you kept that last, if they just taken a knee, Penn State, but they didn't.
Right.
So almost 2 full touchdowns below. The other part that jumped out, then I'll jump to Houston real quick. Houston's averaging 27.4 points per game going in. So if that number holds, West Virginia holds them in that 15 range, 14, 15, 16, 17. If you do that, can you get the win? You probably feel pretty good about that. Here's what jumped to me, though. All of these opponents that West Virginia has played to this point have played 4 of their 5 games or 4 of their 6 games against Power 5 opponents, right? Just one non-Power 5 in there.
Right.
Houston has only played 2 Power 5 opponents so far, both in their Big 12 games. So you can tell their schedule hasn't caught up to the Big 12 schedule yet. They were still scheduling as if they were a G5, which we know how far in advance these games are scheduled, so that makes some sense. But I found that interesting that they've only played 2 Power 5 opponents thus far. Houston's averaging just 20.5 points per game against Power 5 opponents.
Wow.
So 27 overall,
Right.
just 20 in Big 12 play when they've stepped up in competition. So if those numbers hold again and you hold them below 12 points below their 20, that keeps them at 8. So that's something to watch. I'd be surprised if they only score 8 points.
I'm glad I sent you that email. That
Kind of
was
a fun
pretty
little-
good, pretty interesting, wasn't it?
little study.
That's fascinating, actually. I think
It's
a
one of
relevant
those.
stat.
I often say about numbers. Sometimes they can be predictive. Sometimes they just back up what you've seen. So that's a back up what you've seen. We
Right.
think this West Virginia defense has been very good, holding teams about 2 touchdowns under.
holding teams below what they normally score.
Yeah,
That's
by
what
quite
you're
a
talking
bit.
about. Yeah.
By quite a bit. So yeah, that just backs up what we've seen. All right, you want to get into some matchups and specifics?
Specifics.
Well, yeah. Let me do this one real quick, though.
So excited.
Somebody
about
needs
it.
to
Can't-
screw up after my Neil
can't
Brown
talk.
thing. Somebody's got to make a worse mistake than I did.
I can't say specifics.
Don't worry, we got a lot of time left. Here's a reset right here. Spreads on stats. Go ahead.
All right, got a little coffee back in me. We're ready to go. Let's start with what has been our old standby this year, and that's defensive pressure.
Havoc.
Houston's going to want to do what on offense?
Throw that ball.
Okay, so what's one way to limit the throwing of the ball?
Get after that quarterback.
Get after him. And we'll talk about their receivers coming up in a minute, including Sam Brown that played here. They've got a couple receivers that are really producing. I mean, no shock under a Dana Holgorsen team and system. They've got some receivers that are doing some great things. So one way to keep that down is going to be defensive pressure. So here's the matchup we're watching. Houston's right side of the offensive line and their struggles versus West Virginia being very good from the left side. First, Houston's right side. They have really struggled in pass protections. 25% of the pressures on the Houston quarterback have come from the right tackle, having the bulk of the responsibility for that. 19% of the pressures from the right guard, and 21% coming through the center.
Add those all up.
So
What do you got there?
center, guard, right tackle.
Add those percentages. Give me them again.
It's 75%. That's
25,
Yep.
19,
Yeah.
21. So
Almost
what,
70%.
65%?
65.
Yeah, 65%. Because the other side, the left tackle, is about as good as there is in this league. Hasn't given up a pressure all year.
Wow.
So the left side of their line going against the right side of West Virginia's defense, that might be a little more difficult gap to get through. But the right side of the Houston offensive line, that's something to keep an eye on. Houston's given up the second most sacks in the Big 12, 12 in 5 games. Again, some of those against non-Power 5 teams. The other piece to the pressure, and we've seen this show up in different ways. Against Pitt, it was obvious. Against Texas Tech, it was obvious. Against TCU, it was obvious in the second half when West Virginia changed its pressure and kept Chandler Morris in. None of those quarterbacks performed well with people in their face. No shock. That's most quarterbacks, right? Here's Donovan Smith under pressure. He's got the 4th most dropbacks in the league when under pressure. Chandler Morris was number 1 for TCU. We saw how that turned out. He has just a 40% completion percentage when under pressure. He has the 2nd most turnover-worthy plays in the Big 12 when under pressure. Now, remember what those are. That's a PFF stat that measures, Hoppy, plays that could have been turnover. They were worthy of being a turnover, but maybe didn't turn into one. Dropped interception, incomplete pass that should have been picked, that sort of thing. So he's 2nd in that category. He's taken the most sacks under pressure in the Big 12. So if you can get back there, he's a guy that's susceptible. Now, here's what to watch. Donovan Smith leads the Big 12 in number of throws in less than 2.5 seconds. So the ones that he gets out fast, right? Get the ball out, get it in the hands of your playmaking wide receivers, and let them go to work. 74% completion on those passes. Makes sense because there's going to be a lot of screens and short passes.
Hands up.
74%. He's 3rd in the Big 12 in touchdown passes thrown within 2.5 seconds. TCU's Morris was 2nd, to give you a recent comparison. He's 2nd, though, in the Big 12 in dropbacks longer than 2.5 seconds. So he'll get back there and hold it a little bit. Some of that may be the deeper routes that they're trying to establish. He's going to have to hold it longer. But his completion percentage falls all the way to 50% when he holds it longer. So that's one thing you like. He's also 3rd in the Big 12 as Donovan Smith when it comes to being responsible for your own pressures allowed. So it's not always a sack or a pressure isn't always the result of your offensive line. The quarterback takes some of that. Well, he's 3rd in the league. Chandler Morris was number 1. And I keep referring to Morris because that's what we saw most recently.
You're talking about
really
stepping
saw
into
the pressure.
talking about stepping into trouble here.
Yeah, correct. Or being responsible, not getting rid of it when he should when he's under pressure. So based on the right side of their line and some of those numbers from Smith, he's susceptible to some pressure here. Now, let's watch some matchups with this. And let me back up. The left side, if you remember, the left side of West Virginia's defense coming against the right side, Sean Martin's been very good from the left side. Jared Bartlett's been very good from the left side. The one to watch that you haven't seen yet, with Trey Lathan out, we keep talking about Trey. Trey went from a guy that has filled in a position where you didn't know who the production was going to come from, and you were just looking for a starter. Well, he not only became a starter, he was playing at an all Big 12 level when he got hurt here. That was a guy that was going to get some postseason honors as well as he was playing. You're without him, Hop. Now you go to Ben Cutter, a true freshman, who's been playing as well. He's been mixing in with Lathan, but doesn't have near the pressure numbers that Lathan had. So you're kind of down, at least in stats, down one of your pressure guys from the left side. Can Cutter step up? Can those other 2 guys ratchet up even further? Or can you find someone else on that left side against their right side? All right, you want a couple other matchups?
I think you're doing really well.
Let's stay on West Virginia's defense for a second and talk about one of these Houston receivers that we know well, Sam Brown, former Mountaineer, going against a Beanie Bishop on one side, Malachi Ruffin on the other, depending on where Brown lines up. We know at Dana, generally they put Brown or their receivers on one side and go against whatever defensive backs on that side. So here's Sam Brown. You ready for this one, Tony?
Oh, yeah.
The most targets and receiving yards in the Big 12 versus zone coverage, Sam Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He has, now I need you to pay attention here, both of you, because you have struggled with this particular stat.
Oh, here's that, how far they go.
One way that we look at receivers and their value and how they're producing is we look at yards receiving per route run. And if you're at like 2, that's a pretty elite level. 2 yards receiving for every route that you're running. Every pass route, Hoppy. You with me? Mm-hmm. 2's a really elite number. Mm-hmm. Brown so far, Sam Brown for Houston, against zone coverage is a 3.73 yards per route run against zone.
He's a
means
dude.
He's very effective. All right. Now go to the other side. He'll be going against Malachi Ruffin at times, who is giving up only a 30% catch rate in zone. Mm-hmm. Been targeted 10 times, 3 receptions against him in zone. Been very good. On the other side, Beanie Bishop, the Big 12's highest graded defender in zone coverage thus far. He leads the Big 12 with 4 pass breakups while in zone coverage. Each Ruffin and Bishop have an interception. in zone coverage. So that's going to be a fun matchup. West Virginia's defensive backs have been excellent, coupled with the pressure they're getting on the quarterback, going against, and I just highlighted Sam Brown because we watched him when he was here, but Matthew Golden's an excellent, highly productive receiver as well. So that's going to be a huge matchup. West Virginia's ability to control Houston's passing game, we know Houston and Dana are going to want to throw it to two really talented receivers.
Yeah, good stats.
Like that? All right.
Good stuff.
One more.
Well, sure.
Flip to the other side. The aforementioned Nelson Caesar for Houston.
Yeah.
Having a really good year. He's third in the Big 12 in total pressures, and he's been good from either side. So he has 66 pass rushes lining up on the left. He has 54 lining up on the right. But he's going against, and that's where we talked about Milam being in is absolutely critical because both Nestor and Milam at the tackles are having unbelievably good seasons for West Virginia. Those two combined have only allowed 9 pressures in 5 games. Combined from your 2 tackles. Now, I know West Virginia's not dropping back and throwing it 40 times a game, so that helps suppress some of the numbers, but it doesn't change that those two have been fantastic. Nestor clocking it at a 97.6 pass blocking efficiency rate. Milam, 98.6 pass blocking. That's 5th best among Big 12 tackles. So they're both doing a great job of keeping guys off the quarterback. That's the point of that.
Wow.
Watch that matchup.
Is Milam, is it possible he could go?
Yeah. He said game time
Decision.
Okay.
You've got to have him because you're already juggling. Remack being out is going to be an underrated big story. He's been very good.
He just doesn't get talked about.
He just gets overshadowed because you've got 3 really elite players.
Yeah.
Now listen, those aren't the only matchups. I mean, Zach Frazier with their nose guard straight up. That's going to be a massive matchup as well. They're really concerned about it on their end that they can handle Zach Frazier because Zach's been so good at single teaming guys, right? You haven't had to use a double team to help. Normally their nose guard eats up blocks on the front so guys like Nelson Caesar can get in there and make plays. If you can control one-on-one, open some things up. So there's a million matchups, but those are ones that I found interesting, especially with West Virginia as a little bit of a rebuilt offensive line in this one.
Those are excellent stats. Can I give you a macro matchup?
Sure.
I can't get anywhere near what Brad has.
I'm glad you stopped trying.
Yeah, I did.
A couple years ago, you started to try to compete with him. He just turned away.
I just gave up. I can't remember the coach's name, so how can I compete with him? The WVU is averaging almost 200 yards a game rushing, right? 192. Houston is giving up 164 yards a game. They're bad against the rush. They rank 98th in rush defense. TCU ran for 250, Texas Tech 239, UTSA 208. Houston has been among the worst tackling teams in the country. Dana Holgorsen said after the last game they missed more than 20 tackles. I watched some of the video. They couldn't tackle. They were just missing tackles all over the place. So what's West Virginia's strength offensively, Brad? Run it. So can you have a dominant and also ball possession against a team that wants to throw it around? Can you dictate what the flow of the game by running successfully and keeping the ball, getting a lot of ground game, and keeping the ball out of their hands?
Yeah, so it's interesting because that to me is the single biggest matchup in this is your ability to run it against a defense that's also 13th out of 14th in the Big 12. Can you run it on them? And I want to watch this from this standpoint, guys. The West Virginia run numbers are very, very good. But I don't feel yet like they've had one of those games where you just went, wow.
Yeah,
they
dominant,
just mulched.
Yeah.
Mulch.
A lot of that, though, has to do – you've played some pretty good defenses, solid defenses at worst, some really good, that know you're going to run it and are loading up on you. So I'm interested to watch going against a team that will still try and load on you, but you should still have some success. Is this one of those games where West Virginia busts off 248 yards on the ground and some explosives? Because that's the area where West Virginia hasn't done a great job of. It's not getting big plays, and that's worked in its favor, actually, because it's allowed you to control time of possession and eat clock. So it's one of those explosive plays are usually an indicator of how good your team is going to be and do you win games. But for this West Virginia team, it almost doesn't bum me out that they haven't had a ton of explosives because their game plan is to mulch you and chew clock. This one, I'm interested to see. Do they pop a few in this one?
We're boa constrictors. That's what we do. We slowly wrap around you, and then as the thing goes on, you just continue just to continue to take the air out of them and take the air out of them and take the air, and finally they just off they go.
In Houston, Houston's not a good third down defensive team, 41%. So can West Virginia, like 3rd and 4, get a first down?
Yeah, the other
Excuse me, sir. You shut your microphone off.
You just turned it off on me.
Yeah.
Why don't you,
Hey, you know what we should do?
Why do I always turn my thing
You know what
off?
we should do, since this is all on tape?
What?
Review.
Why you always
It's
turn it off?
three guys review. I'm going to put my head inside. You look back. There it was. Hal goes to the microphone, shuts his microphone off.
Did you shut the mic off?
Yeah, he
Then I
did.
turned it back on, and then he turns it off. Does it all the time. Like 3 or 4 times a show. It's unbelievable. The other part, I don't know why you immediately believe him.
I didn't
Did I have
know.
my day in court? You just tried to, yeah, you did.
You're a horrible human.
Good. I hope he turns yours off next.
Wow.
Good. I hope he just turns yours off. He just turned it off. That's what he does.
Well, he is producing the show.
For the record, folks, we each have our own. I have all the mics, but they each have their own control. They also have their cough buttons over there. And Brad, I don't know why it's a nervous twitch. He shuts his microphone off
Where's
all
the
the time.
cough?
They forgot. He
because-
forgot Neil's name, and you forgot to turn
This
your mic
is really
on.
appropriate we're having this because unlike Dana, I don't want to cough right into the microphone during the press conference. I'd like to try and turn it off and save y'all from hearing that.
Okay.
Is what I'm trying to do. Here's the other part. Speaking of Dana, he said earlier this week, he was very forthright with this, said how he was asked about the second half struggles in Big 12 games, and he mentioned how he thought they just got worn down. They just got worn down against those opponents in the second half, which makes a lot of sense. That's what happens a lot of times to G5 teams coming up against competition week after week after week. So you would hope West Virginia's style can make that a reality for a third week in a row for Houston. Continue to pound and pound and pound, wear on them in the second half so that then you can really start cooking on the
Well, we
ground.
watched that Texas Tech game at halftime. It's tied at 28.
Yeah.
How many points did they score in the second half?
They just took off on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Donovan Smith smoking coming into this game.
Mm-hmm.
Hot. Last 2 games really hot. You know, this is the 3rd time that West Virginia's faced him.
What?
Yeah, 3rd time. First time for playing Houston, 3rd time. In 2021, he appeared sparingly for Texas Tech, had 2 carries for 14 yards. In 2022, which happens to be last year, he was 4 for 4 against the world champion Mountaineers for 30 yards. He also ran the ball once for 3 yards for the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. He's a big dude. Football family, dad, coach, brother played high level, and he's a big, strong guy. He's 6'5", 230 pounds, which continues the quarterbacks. But in the last 2 games, against Sam Houston, and I know they're FCS, but he was 31 of 40 for 294 with a touchdown, no pick against Texas Tech, his former team, in their last game. Like, he tried to self-will them to victory. And he was 30 of 41 for 335 yards, 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions. Houston got beat because of horrific special teams play.
Yeah, gave up
had a punt blocked and a kick return.
Yeah.
So, but was that him having his out of his mind moment against his former team? He didn't get support from the rest of his team, but you got to be careful.
Yeah, but real quick on that, if you want a little deeper number into those, he didn't have any picks, as you just alluded to. Pro Football Focus tagged him with 3 turnover-worthy plays that didn't end up in interceptions. So that was a game where the outlying stats worked for you because you didn't end up with any turnovers off that.
Yeah. Spreads on Stats brought to us by the Conley CPA Group, complete service public accounting consulting firm. As I said earlier on, been in business since 85. What do we say about that, Hoppy? When you've been in business for more than a decade, you got something going on.
Yeah,
they've been doing
absolutely.
it now since 1985. If you need more than just tax preparation, they can do that, certainly, but they can do it all when it comes to consulting with you to make sure that you have the best possible scenario when it comes to saving your dollars. 3 Guys also brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever dealer in the state of West Virginia, located in Winfield. You can visit them on the web at burdettcamping.com. That's burdettcamping.com. And 3 Guys also brought to us by Gomart. The next Man Trip Experience winner from Gomart is going to be Lisa Polden. She'll be the winner on the event coming up against Oklahoma State on the 21st, and she gets to have the time of her life as she walks into the stadium with the Mountaineers. The Man Trip, game day tickets, touchdown terrace, exclusive apparel, and more. 4 winners were selected for each home game during this football season. And when you are prepping up for the game, where do you go, Hop?
Go to Daniel's.
Gomart, Hop. Official convenience store of
Sorry, I
WVU
wasn't paying
Athletics.
attention.
They've got all the game day goodies you'll need to keep the party going. Don't forget to to get your GoMart rewards
Having an
card
off
where you
day.
can save money on food and fuel. I wondered when it was going to come and how it was going to come to an end for him, and he's doing a hell of a job here today.
Right, it's happening right on live radio.
Hey, Hop, I tell you what, Jim Carlin's doing a great job coaching the Mountaineers.
I mean, technically, you weren't wrong in what you said. It just wasn't the time. He wasn't talking about Daniels at that time.
I appreciate having my back, but clearly I'm
I'll tell you this.
2 for 8 on passing.
Yeah.
So
And I cannot wait. I cannot wait
turnover-worthy play.
for the Three Guys food court before the Oklahoma Steak. That is going to be an extravaganza, the Three Guys
good.
food
Honestly,
court.
I've
It
enjoyed the last
returns.
couple. I can't
You
wait
see
to
what
go.
happens here? He just wears you down because that is not done. There's still permits to get. It's the whole thing we do every week.
We'll be there.
So
Yeah,
is it
see,
on?
then he
Is it
just-
on?
We'll
he does
be
that
there.
because our guy that handles all
Oklahoma
that's
State
elite.
is on it.
Well, he's elite.
He
And
is
he gets
elite.
it all done.
Yeah.
So he just has a false sense of security that he can throw anything out, and Dave gets it done.
I'm formally announcing the Three Guys food court before the Oklahoma State game. As you know, it's a 3:30
Friday
kickoff.
and Saturday?
For sure. Why not?
Put the thing in all week. Hell, you might as well show up on Monday.
We'll be there Friday and Saturday. Details coming up in future shows. But once again, we'll be Rev Kev.
Really?
Kev. Yeah. Yeah. Rev Kev will be there.
And Kirchvale, you do know that. That's about all we know.
Oh, by
Kirchvale,
the way,
Rev Kev.
congratulations, Hoppy.
What's that?
Kirchvale is now available in Monongalia County in Kroger.
The Kroger?
Yeah. It's available. It's on. There it is.
Oh.
On the shelf. On the shelf.
Nice.
The folks at Chestnut Brewworks, remember we told you on a recent episode that they have partnered with Mona Supply here in Monongalia County, and so Kroger, among other a lot more locations now selling. There it is on the beautiful can designed by a WVU student. I love that
She
can.
did a great job on that. I do
I
like
love
that
that can.
design.
It is. And now you see, it's next to another beverage, but ours is a premium price.
Well,
Ours
that's
is premium.
Chet's Halleck Pale Ale. There,
Is that
that's,
Halleck?
That is the big daddy of them all.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the big daddy of them all. So congratulations, Chestnut Brewworks beers now in Monongalia County distribution locations for Mona Supply.
Wow.
So
Ours
that's
is
great.
more expensive than Halleck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that, wait a minute, is that
As of right now,
$13.49 for a 4-pack?
It's $14.99 for a 4-pack, $13.49 on sale, and then the other one is $13.99, $12.69. But you know, it's a capitalist society, Hoppy. The market will tell what it bears going forward.
If you have the Kroger card, maybe you get a
Yeah, you could get a little something for the effort. So that's absolutely fantastic.
nice. Thank you, Kroger.
Yeah.
And Mona Supply.
Sure. By the way, thanks to the folks at Comax Business Systems. As I've told you, they keep West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. And when I say they go A to Z, I mean literally. They can manage your IT. They can come in and do a complete review of where you stand when it comes to your data. And they can provide those services, remote monitoring, everything. So if you have IT issues, they can be the folks for you, Comex Business Systems. Also, when it comes to digital phone services, from one line to 1,000, let them come in if your business needs a new phone service. And they are competitively priced. They'll come in and let you know what it's worth. But also, I mean, as I said, business equipment, Hop.
Yep.
I mean, I have a printer.
Daniels.
Not yet. I have a printer. Brad has a printer from Comax. Recently needed new ink. Boom. Shipped it in. Great. I got great colors going right now. Great colors.
I might have to order
My
mine
cyan,
soon.
my cyan and my
You got good
magenta.
cyan?
Oh!
Magenta.
Visit them.
They can help me when it's time for me to reorder.
They're ready.
I might be getting close.
Yeah. Bob will take care of you. Visit
Amazing.
them at comaxwv.com.
Get just 3 colors and it produces all the colors. That you
So
need.
it's everything you need. Yeah, it's
Incredible.
Okay, so a couple of things. You ready to do some textual healing? Let's do some textual.
Please.
You good for textual healing? Let's do some textual healing. Let's do this thing. Textual healing is brought to us by episode800.com. All the gear that you see us wear is available there, among other items, including the bourbon barrels that have been flying off the shelves. Bourbon barrels there from Bearwood.
Yeah, those are nice.
Matt does a great job. It says a great day to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be on that thing.
New T-shirt offering as well. That was a hot seller after that TCU game.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Is on the site.
Hey, hopefully our listeners will be wearing that on Friday. If you've already got your thanks for having us, you might have to wear that
Another
on Friday.
opportunity.
You know, you get greedy, don't you? I mean, you win some games and then you start to think,
Isn't this fun,
man,
dude?
don't lose this game.
I know, but isn't this fun? This is kind of like, this is the way that it used to be. Like, people are like fired up. They're excited. It's got a good feeling. It kind of like you walked out of TCU and you said like, yeah, This is how it used to be.
You do get greedy.
Yeah. I mean, you get
4 of the first 5, just a
tight.
tremendous start, and then again, as we've talked, the schedule opens up at least on paper. And listen,
don't say
weird
that.
things. Well, I mean, it just does.
It does, I know, but-
I'm not jinxing anything. It just does. It's easier moving forward than it has been what you've got to. That doesn't mean you're guaranteed 7 more wins. We see weird things happen. Oklahoma State knocked off
Kansas State.
a bad Kansas State team that particular night.
That
It's a pretty
day,
good team.
yeah.
They were bad that night. We see it all the time. I get that. But the schedule now is where you want it to be. But since you started 4 of your first 5, now you're like, can you kind of keep going? Especially some of us that may be holding a over 4.5 win total ticket would just like, go ahead and cash that for me, Neil. Can you just?
I don't think Neil cares about your tickets.
He doesn't, but I do.
So
On it from the beginning.
You should have been
'Cause
4.5.
Neil said in that press conference he didn't want to hear from anybody because nobody was on their side believing they could start like
You
they did.
did.
And I was trying to say, I got it right here.
Yeah, but you had only 5, so that's all you needed.
No, I just need over 4.5. Just give me 5 or more. I was with him. Stood with him.
can I share a always a West Virginia connection story
Yeah, sure.
that I haven't previously shared with you guys? Okay,
Yeah.
you ready? So this weekend, because it was the off weekend, I was fortunate enough to be able to attend a destination wedding. And the wedding was
Where were you?
in Jackson, Wyoming. Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Wow.
Um,
Elite.
Lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
it was quite a wedding.
Yeah.
And so when you go out there to those parts, you have to dress the way that those people dress, right? I mean,
Okay.
you're not wearing New York City clothes, so this
That's you?
is that you?
That's you know what, I can't decide if that's cool or creepy.
Well, I mean,
it's interesting.
That's a nice hat.
yeah,
I'll tell you that.
beautiful Stetson hat. And that tuxedo, by the way, from Daniels. So Phil can dress people in West Virginia. He can dress them in Wyoming.
Absolutely.
Where'd you get the hat?
Well, that was part of the wedding. When you walked into the rehearsal dinner, you were given a customized Stetson hat.
That's pretty
I'm
nice.
trying to decide what that.
And then it was branded. You can have it branded with whatever you want. So I got the Teton Mountains on the side of the hat. Girl was there branding them. So here's my
Glad
point.
you didn't get branded.
Can you wear that? Will you wear that here?
I'd
'Cause
like
you're
to.
not much of a hat guy
But I'd like
necessarily.
to.
No, you can't wear that here.
Why not?
Why not? It's a beautiful hat.
It's a
Why?
because you're not a cowboy. I mean, you can wear it out there because people wear it out there. Here, it would stand out. Like if you were a rancher here or a farmer, and you're going into southern states, you could wear it. But you can't wear that like you're not.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Because you're basically with the Big 12 Conference, it's basically being in the Texas 7A high school association with all the Texas schools. He goes to Texas like 9 times a year.
Well, wear it when you go to Texas.
Can he take it? Can you borrow like the Parab case? You know those big Parab cases? Just put that bad boy right in there.
They're
Just say,
hard to-
"Sorry,
it would-
I'll carry
you
the
would need
glass
that.
Parab on. I need that for my hat.
They are hard to travel with.
Well, there is a saying in
Can
Texas.
he wear it to Texas?
You know the saying.
Luke, you can take me off screen there. Thank you. I was starting to get a little
That
creeped out.
all hat, no cattle.
Oh, I've never heard that.
Yeah.
That you guys
Which is what people who are actual Texans or Western
They would say
people
that about him.
Yeah, they might say that about you. So I'm just trying to
Hey,
warn
dude,
you.
that's fine.
That
So
was
let me
a
tell you
nice
my.
hat. That
Let me
was
tell
a
you
nice
my.
hat.
So let me tell you my story. So
I'm sorry, we got sidetracked. You forgot.
Friday morning, there's got this famous coffee place. So you knew I was going to go there, right? Called Cowboy Coffee. And so I'm sitting with the wife and another travel partner. Johnny was with me, and we're having coffee. And we got like it's small, but they had this table in the corner that we were able to get. And so we're enjoying coffee. And this place is so famous that a line forms and the door stays open. And so these 2 ladies came in. And one lady I noticed was holding a deck of cards in her hand. And so they're waiting for their coffee. And I could kind of see the one lady giving the corner eye like, man, I want that table. And she saw that we were starting to wrap up with ours. And so I said, would you like this table? And she goes, would love it. We've got a continuing game of gin rummy. I said, excuse me? And she said, gin rummy. I said, well, who's leading? Who's leading gin rummy? She says, I am. And I said, she cheating you? And the lady said, no, with a deck of cards. She goes, we play wherever we go, we play. And I'm here for a conference. I said, okay, cool. So I get up to give her the table. I said, where are you from? She says, Delaware. I said, oh, that's good. She goes, where are you from? I said, West Virginia. She goes, really? She said, my son is a freshman there.
Yeah, of course he is.
I said, oh, really? She goes, yeah, he's on the soccer team. I said, excuse me? She says, on the soccer team. And he starts. And I said, really? I said, well, I know Coach Stratford. In fact, I know the guy that hired. Sure. I know the guy that hired Dan Stratford as the head soccer coach at West Virginia University and took care of that. She goes, oh my gosh. She goes, I'm coming in for the Marshall game. So I looked our son up. He's two-time Delaware State Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year.
Yeah.
His name is Jake Ross. So I met his mom in the coffee line in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Perfect. Of course you did.
Of course. She's getting ready to play gin rummy.
Of course you did.
And was leading.
And had a big lead over the other lady.
Wow, that's crazy.
Not even a little bit surprising.
No.
So that kind of flipped me out. And then while I was at the wedding, I heard this guy yell out, 3 guys. So go ahead, Luke, show that picture. So this is Luke and Hunter. Luke and Hunter at the wedding there. And Luke's on the right, IT guy, WVU Medicine, and Hunter is oil and gas guy. Just fabulous listeners. And so there we were.
Thanks, fellas.
We were out there about 30 miles from Yosemite in just an unbelievable area. So there they were.
It's beautiful out there.
Now, what do you think of me not closed up with the hat and the tux on there?
You know, it looks. You can. Let me say this. You can wear it. Not everybody can wear a cowboy hat. You can wear it.
Yeah,
you can do it. You can pull it off.
When Joan
I'm not saying you should here, but when you do in that environment, you can pull it off.
Well, Joan was mortified when we were going like, dude, you can't wear a hat, can it? And then I put it on, and the people said, that looks good on you.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'm going to buy totally in.
You know why? Because you're a big guy.
Yeah.
And I think it works better for a big, tall guy. If I put one on, I look like a 4th grader. You know, I look like one of those hobby horses.
You look like Andy Capp.
Those are 2 good stories.
Yeah, they are.
Thanks to the fellas for listening. The only disappointing thing, because we have a listener in every state.
Right.
I was kind of hoping you ran into the Wyoming listener like on a horse that was going by the wedding and screamed out at you.
Yeah. No.
That's the only disappointing part of it.
Didn't see that. So
Thanks for listening, fellas.
you talk about beautiful out there.
Oh, I got a 3 guys.
You talk about beautiful out there, the water.
Oh, yeah, nice.
So I saw several pontoon boats while I was out there.
Oh.
And I
They have a Lou Wendell sticker on the side. You think?
They were
looked like it, but you couldn't tell.
Pretty far distance away. It looked like they were Lou Wendell pontoon boats. Mm-hmm. They're in the Colorado River. And Lou Wendell Marine Sales, located right here in St. Albans, West Virginia. Been in business for literally decades. They sell family fun and the Avalon Boat Series when it comes to their pontoons, premier boats. They also do provide James Bond movie series with the boats for James Bond. When you see James Bond on a pontoon boat, Lou Wendell Marine Sales. Still trying to get that confirmed.
Unconfirmed.
Pretty sure that's true. And the best in the valley, LouWendellMarineSales.com. You had
well, just it's not as yours is exotic and very very interesting. Mine not so much, but it's a little bit closer to home. Is on the off day, my wife and I took a long walk and stopped in at the 3 guys stopover, the Apothecary.
Sure, good to
had
have
a couldn't have because Kirchvale was not on tap, so had a Halleck, but nevertheless. So the bartender there, nice young lady, she said, I said, can I get a Kirchvale? She said, I'm sorry, we don't have it on tap. She said, aren't you Mr. Kirchvale? I said, I am. She said, my dad is a big 3 guys listener.
Well, why wouldn't he be?
Yeah, so we got our picture made.
Yeah, did you get your picture made?
Got a picture made.
That was nice.
That's awesome.
But it was very nice. Stopover at the Apothecary.
Yeah. Texter says,
we had the spinach dip and chips.
That's pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Killed it.
Texter, I'll gladly serve as Tony's enforcer so he doesn't have to take the bullets regarding enforcing texting etiquette. He regularly asks for shorter text, but he receives texts that are longer than every text I send in a 24-hour period combined, and I send a lot. And listeners can cut out the in-game text. The game will be long over by the time your text is read. If the game ends and you have the same text, send it, but only after trimming 75% of your first draft. Go Mountaineers. No excuse for C.J. Donaldson not scoring on that 3rd and goal. There you go. Texter. Any chance we'll see more West Virginia Connection merchandise? I missed out on the hat the first time. All I can say to that is efforting. MJ from Augusta, Georgia, originally Parkersburg, listener from episode 1 through 494, first time I've texted. About the current season, this year is the only time I can recall in the past several years that we've actually been great at halftime adjustments. Our defensive adjustments after halftime have been spot on. Great job to the coaching staff. And he was one of many, 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 many people that said, I liked the Drew Fabianich podcast. And there have been so many in this that I got the general theme. People loved it, and it was really enjoyable.
Good info in there from Drew.
Yeah. Texter, hey, three guys. Tim in Austin went to the TCU game, really fun. Heading to Houston. Hopefully good things happen Thursday. I was thinking that this team is the epitome of the term efforting. They work hard, they get better, they haven't figured everything out, but they make really nice progress. I can see the whole team efforting, wearing efforting T-shirts around the facilities. Thanks for keeping a faraway fan in the loop. And I included a picture of my family and me at the TCU game. Note, so you got an efforting hat on there, far right side.
Yeah, he went efforting hat.
Thank you very much, Tim. Texter, hey, three guys. Professor Vinny here. So my parents come to Chicago from Morgantown to visit. I tell them, I need you to bring me some Kirchhoff since that brew hasn't made its way to the Windy City. My dad dialed up the efforting and scored 4 cans of the sweet nectar directly from the source. He said a guy in a long flowing beard sold it to him.
That's the guy.
I can honestly say it is a great beer, one that may soon become Chestnut's flagship beer. Thanks for having a great beer. So there's the beer, and there's him and his dad having it there in Vinny's kitchen.
Yes.
Credit his dad for getting it all the way to Chicago.
Yeah, nice
Well done, Dad.
Nice job, Dad of Vinny.
Don't tell anybody because that's transporting the alcohol. And...
No, it's fine.
You didn't sell it, so you're okay.
fine.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Texter, Dr. Jeff in Charleston writes, 3 stellar guys. Next big test for the Mountaineer football team. Can West Virginia apply tough, physical, persevering culture to that Houston game and beat a team they're supposed to beat? Mm-hmm. And he asks, is it true that receiver Cortez Braham has left the team? Yes. And so did Jeremiah Aaron, both gone. Texter, greetings from Liberty, West Virginia. I wanted you 3 to see what my family got for my birthday. I must have been very good this year. I love the show. See, he got himself an efforting.
Yep, nice blue
T-shirt.
one.
Thank you very much. Greetings.
Thank you.
Texter, Hoppy was correct, but this explanation may better help to differentiate effect. Effect with an A is used as a verb, and it means to influence or produce a change. Effect with an E, used as a noun representing the result or a consequence of an action. Keeping in mind verb versus noun makes it easier to remember. I love listening to you guys and eagerly await each new podcast. Like, that was a fantastic explanation as to why. Yeah. But you know what that did? It brought back to me a traumatic stress of those days in school where they pound that stuff. It makes my stomach kind of gurgle. JR from Elkview writes, I have a question for you. How much better is this team from last year's? That team was 2 plays away from being 4-1. This year is a few inches away from perhaps 2 and 3, a knockdown pass in the end zone, fingers on a field goal. It's a good question. How much better is this team?
I think it actually started last year. I think the end of last year, and I think I see it more as a continuation from what started late last year.
Yeah, because you're 2-1 over the last 3 games. Last year you're 4. So you're 6-2 over these last. Yeah, exactly. But it's also why you've got to be careful only looking at results. I know that matters, and you got to win games. But you also, when you're looking at this stuff, you got to go underneath the hood a little bit and see what they are. That's right. And a lot of games come down to that. Yeah. The wins and losses. We talked. TCU is a great example, guys. They last year had some unbelievable, and I always say this, I don't mean this as disrespectfully as it sounds. This isn't a joke with all due respect. I really mean this. They had a great year, and when you're going to have a special year, as West Virginia's had in the past, you've got to find those things that break in your favor. They just got every one of them last year. So many things went their way. Are they this year?
No.
Those things are going against them more this year. So that happens.
And that's because the margin is so close, right?
Sure. Exactly.
I mean, it really is. I mean, and with a lot of teams, there is not that much difference. I mean, there are elite teams, then there's a lot of other teams.
Especially in this league. Yeah. And especially in this league this year and a little bit last year. There's a lot of close games.
I would like Texas and Oklahoma, I would look at as elite. Okay. And then beyond that, I'd say, well, okay, everybody's, Oklahoma State beat Kansas State, right? West Virginia beat TCU. I mean, that's
kind of why we talked this summer about that, right? Did we not have this exact conversation about there's a giant middle, like the whole league's a middle here?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that before the season started. You're right. Next text is from Barack, not from Barrackville. I work in the automotive dealership world. Couldn't help have my mind blown about that Utah NIL deal where they bought every single player a new Ram truck. The logistics must have been a nightmare. Few dealerships have 85 total trucks, let alone 85 of the same truck. I'm sure this move will have a ripple effect on college football, and soon fans will be bragging that their team gets better miles per gallon or horsepower than your team. Also, I can't wait for the first receiver to drop a crucial pass. He'll get 1,000 tweets that should say he should leave his keys in the locker room. What vehicle would be most fitting for West Virginia for its players? I hate to be unoriginal, but the pickup truck probably the right answer. Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, that is a wild deal. That was my first thought, too. We have friends in the automotive industry there, and the getting of the 85 trucks, I don't know how they pulled that off. The head of their collective is a car dealer out there, and these are leases that they're doing. So they weren't gifted this $60,000 truck, but they do get to drive that while they're on scholarship or have eligibility.
Wow. But would be hard to get 85.
Syracuse was way ahead of that curve. When I was in school,
Allegedly.
No, they got busted. When I was in school, they got a rental deal. Players would be able to drive cars for $1 a day. That didn't end well. The NCAA bopped him on that one. Texter, I'm from Sean Martin's hometown, except in Bluefield, Virginia, on the state line. I grew up being made fun of by Virginians who made their life working West Virginia coal, but ridiculing us as hillbillies, ridge runners. My Louisiana wife doesn't understand why West Virginia football is so important to me. That football team is really our only response to being barefoot, toothless, and inbred. We can't change that perception, but we can whip your ass in football. I'm older now, but even as a young man, there was never a game at Old Mountaineer Field or Pushkar that the band didn't make me cry with that medley that includes the old state song, West Virginia Hills. This little hillbilly boy used to sing that in grade school. Go Mountaineers, sung by Ken in Kentucky. Texter, well, guys, there's always a West Virginia connection. This weekend, I'm minding my own business, following the relationship with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, and much to my surprise, I see a familiar face in Taylor's star-studded box. Ryan Reynolds, Brittany Mahomes, and Hoppy Kercheval. There he is. The dean is everywhere.
Well, I didn't like to, broadcast it. I was at the game.
But there's more. Here's another picture of Hoppy, and there he is.
Where am I now?
Right there, wiping your brow. Off to the left there.
With your hanky.
With your hanky. So there you go, Hop. Congratulations. Taylor seems to be a very nice person.
I had a really nice time with them all.
Texter.
She's really very nice, actually.
I'm sure she is. Hey, three guys, just wanted to share a T-shirt I came across in a brewery while vacationing in St. George Island, Florida this summer. Also a screenshot of what is without doubt the best actual NIL marketing campaign. Let's go, Holgs, Luther and Charleston. There you go, Hoptimism. There you go, Hoptimism, Tom.
Optimism.
Oh.
You need that.
I like that hobby. Texter, hello, first-time texter, bon voyage. Some still aren't able to be happy about a 4-1 record. I think we all know the offense needs to get better. We might see the next 3 weeks if that's possible. What are you guys' thoughts? More specifically, the Houston game. Wish you all the best. Scopes, odds ball. He calls you odds ball instead of spread. Odds ball, like odds ball. And Hoppy. Well, collectively, I think we're thrilled to be 4-1, and there's victories still in front of this team, and you just hope, like everyone else, that they continue to evolve each week. I look forward to this offense finally having a game where it's churning.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it against some of these defenses here that statistically aren't what you've already played. But the balancing factor there, Hop, and this happens every year. You seem to forget this until it actually hits you and happens. Injuries are starting to be a storyline here for all teams. It's certainly in West Virginia's case that both offensively and defensively, who's in the lineup? The lineup has been very good when it's been at full strength. Now you're going to ask some guys that have been playing a little bit to step up. Can it keep its same level of production?
Also the perception is that if you're talking about these two teams, who has more offensive production, you're going to think Dana and Houston, right? Well, Houston's averaging 27 points a game, West Virginia 26. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not that, even though the perception is very different about these two teams.
Right. Texter, gentlemen, all due respect to Touchdown Jesus, but I think I did it. This past week, while away in Michigan for work, I drove 2 hours south to cross enemy lines in South Bend, Indiana. My mission, to avenge Major Harris and the boys and break any curses that may linger from 1989. I took in all the beautiful sights on campus at Notre Dame. I proudly wore a flying WV shirt and got strange looks, but I was undeterred. First, I sought out their national championship trophy from that fateful day. I figured a good rub of the glass with fingers crossed, which should make peace with the football gods, but I wasn't finished. I knew what I had to do. I headed over to Touchdown Jesus to set things straight for the university and fans. I had a Notre Dame employee snap a picture of me doing the opposite pose of the mural to undo any bad juju. I wasn't too worried about bad karma. After all, God himself is a Mountaineer. While I am not Catholic, I even attended Mass all on campus at the Basilica just to cover my bases. And as I sit here and I watch and finish the Louisville-Notre Dame game, I can only take it as an omen that I have done my part to ensure that WV will be a winning program for years to come. Thanks for the great episodes, and let me know what other campuses I need to visit to further help the cause. God bless, and all due respect. Philip in Tampa.
Well done, Philip.
Yeah, whatever
There
it
he is,
takes.
man.
Whatever it takes.
He did his part.
You got after it.
Yeah,
Well
he
done. I
did it.
appreciate
You're
that.
superstitious, so that you
I
probably
like
believe
that.
in all
I
that.
love all that.
Are you superstitious?
Oh, crazy.
Not really.
Nut bag.
Nah.
Nut baggio.
Are you, Tony?
No. My dad wasn't. My dad grew up in it. My dad grew up in crazy time.
So he was
Those
superstitious.
Italian people in southern Italy. You kidding me? Like, bird flies over. Well, that means this. Well, rained on a Tuesday. Well, that means this. Oh, yeah. Crazy. Anyway, 3 guys, random thoughts. With NIL, should star ratings, like a 1-star, 2-star, should instead they be dollar signs, like a restaurant review?
Yeah.
Like if a restaurant's really expensive, it's $4 signs, like a player.
Yeah.
When he goes into the portal, like, should he have like $2 signs,
Good idea.
$3
That's
signs?
not bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
He also gives us an idea, merchandise idea for you guys called 3 Guys Mixed Nuts, not trying to make a correlation. Texter. He says, flashback, I met Tony at the Fiesta Bowl pregame function, amazingly to me. 8 years later, I'm at the Sugar Bowl pregame function. He remembered my name. Keeping this short.
Well done.
Doug in Sutton. By the way, if this gets read out loud, thanks for having me.
I wouldn't even have remembered being at the Fiesta Bowl. You remembered his name.
Yeah, well, I have no recollection of remember his name, but anyway. Texter says, this is my Bill Stewart hat. He was the best. And there's a hat to Phil. Thanks for having my back, signed by Bill Stewart.
Oh,
The best.
Yeah.
The best.
Texter. Hey, guys, Griffin from Morgantown here. As I'm writing this, I'm currently on my honeymoon in Barbados.
Oh.
But I've had to take time out to tell this once-in-a-lifetime story. We went to a local karaoke night on the island. Third song played for the night was none other than Sweet Caroline. Needless to say, we did our West Virginia duty and sang it our way. We then let locals and travelers alike in on our alternate lyric, meaning we had them all singing along our way. The disdain for Pitt is now international. Barbados knows the real lyrics, and all is well with the world. Hail, West Virginia and ESP. So at this wedding I was at, the Friday rehearsal dinner where they gave us the hat, they had a banjo, a guitar, and a stand-up bass. And those guys were really good.
Mm-hmm.
And they were given a list of songs to play. So they played Country Roads.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
And then they played Sweet Caroline.
Oh.
And like when so it gets to the part and everyone just bellows it out. And the guy playing the guitar, like literally I was watching him and I got it on tape. Like he just started laughing. Like he heard that it might be coming, but he had no idea that it would just be this wow into the Rocky Mountains it goes.
Did you step up and go, I could take a turn at the banjo there and sit in on the band?
No, that was really good. Those guys were really good.
Your banjo skills are rusty.
You know who sang at the wedding? Our buddy, Charles Wesley Godwin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I showed Brad yesterday.
You showed me that video of it.
Showed you the video of it. So he played just with a guitar
Yeah.
outdoors, and in comes the wedding party, and while he's singing. And it was like, I'll show it to you. I have
It was great.
It was like he is so good. He's agreed to come on 3 Guys.
Oh, he has? He's coming. Isn't he coming here to the Met?
Yeah, but he lives in Westover, so it's not like that big.
Oh,
of a-
okay.
Yeah.
That was a
coming
great
over the
video.
bridge?
He's
We
coming
should have
up.
played that. It was like an episode of Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Him sitting out there in that video. You watch Yellowstone?
No.
Have you seen? What?
No.
You're a big TV guy. You don't watch Yellowstone?
I don't.
I'm
I
stunned.
don't. I'm
What? What are you?
I just, there are many options. And what we watch.
But you've watched some bad options. You've told me some of the stuff you've watched. That's a
No.
legitimately really good show.
Well, I don't know. That's a matter of opinion. That's
There's a lot of people that share that opinion.
There are, but we have shows. We watch a lot of good shows. What are you talking about? We just started The Americans.
You watch a lot of weird stuff too. You've told
Like
me some of
what?
the stuff you've watched. I can't remember now. I only half listen to you when you tell me. You've listened to some weird stuff or watched some weird stuff. I think you'd like Yellowstone.
I don't know.
popular
I don't know if I'll be
Well,
able to. I don't know if I'll be able to pull this off. But Luke, I just texted it to you, so it's a video, and I just texted it to you. I have no idea what technical
Oh my gosh, I don't know about
difficulty
that.
I just gave you, but I texted you, and you can just yell across the window door here.
What we watch is the wife and I have to have a general agreement on what we watch, and I'll just say that it was not universal agreement
Stunning.
what to
Stunned.
watch.
Excellent.
Does your wife enjoy it?
Loves it. It's awesome.
Kids?
Well, no, the kids don't watch it.
All right.
What are you talking about? Yellowstone?
Yeah.
Do you watch it, Tony?
I don't watch TV.
Excuse me?
I don't watch television.
That's about the only show I can name over the last 4 or 5 years, COVID notwithstanding, when we got caught up on stuff that I've watched.
Really?
Awesome.
Tony, you don't watch any shows?
I watch sports.
Sports, that's it.
Yeah. Like a regular show like you guys are. I don't watch any of those. I don't watch any of those. Like 60 Minutes, it'll be taped, and once in a great while I'll watch it. I have a great affinity toward the Somali pirates on YouTube.
Yeah, you didn't ask him the right question.
I'm sorry. What do
He
you
spends
watch?
a lot of time watching things, but it's on
on the
YouTube, and
on
it's
the YouTube?
Somali pirates and
Hunter from
tours of expensive aircraft, weird
Wow.
things.
You think they got some money in Jackson Hole? Get off the airport, get off the plane there, and look at some
Oh,
of
I
those.
bet.
Look at some of those aircraft.
Yeah.
Hunter from Polka, first-time texter. Tony, you were talking about a way for broadcasts to select the audio. So like that thing, MLB TV does what I was telling you guys about, where if you're watching a game on MLB TV, you can click on, I want to listen to the home radio, the visiting radio, or the MLB announcers. And he says that when it goes to commercials, the TV audio for the commercials comes up. So they're still getting people to listen to the TV commercials, but the broadcast is from the home or the visiting radio, which people want because they want to hear their guys do the game the way that they want the game done. He says hopefully other streaming services like ESPN Plus catches on to this. He says it is it's quite nice. Love the show, and the food court has been fantastic. Well, hope to have you at their Oklahoma State food court. We'll be there at 8 a.m.
You don't know
time
that
is
either.
3 o'clock, 3:30 for the kickoff.
But
This is
okay.
Jeremy from Cooperstown, New
Wait,
York.
wait,
You
wait.
know how dramatic fanatics we go ahead.
No, but okay, so let's say there's 3 different audio feeds. But everybody's taking the TV commercials.
Right.
Okay.
No. So what happens is this. You're watching the game,
Okay.
and you've got the hometown radio announcer on. Let's say it's the Phillies game. You're
Okay.
listening to the Phillies broadcast.
All right.
And when they say, okay, after 3, it's the Phillies 2 and the Braves 1. And they go away for their commercials, the TV commercial audio comes on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, hey, so as I said, we're at the wedding, and Charles Wesley Godwin performed as the folks were making their way. Let's give this a try.
I ain't cut out for royalty, never saw myself again. No blue blood in these veins, just a mountain boy with a dream. But I got caught up in her love like a storm down in the Gulf. The high winds wreck my dogs, flood water rust my logs. My way breaks on the rocks for my strawberry queen. I ain't the first to pledge my service to the crown. I know her subjects in the past and let her down. Treasonous fools never come around this town.
That's really
then,
good.
And then when the wedding was completed, now Rev Kev was the pastor.
Oh, really?
Well, for the barbecue, he'll be at the October 21st thing too. But Rev Kev he officiated the wedding. And when they said, we now pronounce you man and wife, and this was Will Rockus and Caroline Colombo, we're getting married. They live here, but destination wedding. They released about 8 to 10 beautiful horses. And all of a sudden, and you don't see them coming, and out of the side, you catch them, and they're in full gallop
Really?
behind them. It was like, whoa. A lot of crying went on. People were, the whole thing. Yeah. So Charles was nice enough. So Charles will be performing in Morgantown November, 4 dates. He is in Louisville this week, and then Ashland. He's doing a couple in Ashland, Kentucky, which to him is, he told me, it's like a home game. Because he and I spent a little time together because they lost our luggage. So we had to go back to the airport.
Really?
Yeah.
Lost his luggage too?
You know what a gentleman he is? He told the lady, listen, if my bag gets here and my wife's bag doesn't make it, you keep my bag here until her bag comes, because I'm not going back to that room saying, sorry, Samantha.
That's just smart.
That's just smart living.
That's just a smart play.
Yeah, just a smart play. So he said he will come on, 3 guys.
Oh, good.
That'd be great. Love to have him.
He gave an impassioned speech to them preseason about being 14.
Did a great speech.
Yeah.
Still resonating.
Yeah. He's
Think
hot.
he could do a 3 guys song? Come up with a 3 guys song?
Probably not.
He probably
Probably not. I think
he could probably knock one out in 12 minutes. He
no,
could
I
come up with a song.
think David's solid, but he's like he writes every day. Like he writes every day. He is hot. He is hot. I mean, next summer he's touring. He'll open for Luke Combs, and he just got done with Zach Bryan. He did the arena tour with Zach Bryan, and then he goes out and does his own thing. I mean, he's hot. You know,
He should be. He's outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, I told him, I said, dude, it's like listening to you like a piece of velvet. I got a piece of velvet in my hand and it's singing to me. That's kind of what it is.
Rub it on your face.
All right, so it's time for us to hit the road and go play those Houston Cougars. We'll be back on Friday,
What time are we doing Friday?
12:30 Eastern. Don't tell the Big 12. They'll
11:30
have
Central.
you in. Hey, if the Big 12 is in charge, we'd be coming in right when you start steam release. Boy. 3 guys before the game, brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever dealer in the state of West Virginia. Visit them at burdettcamping.com. By Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, efficient for 25 years. By GoMart. Go for good times. Go for GoMart. Fuel, food, get the rewards card. You can save every time you go in there. And on Saturdays, you get triple points. Like, do that.
Daniels.
Actually, 3 guys also brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. And by the Connolly CPA Group, providing value beyond the numbers.
Is Daniels not a sponsor?
No. But we love Phil. He provided the tuxedos for many at the wedding.
Of course.
And more. All right, have yourself a good couple of days here. Thursday night football, and we'll see how it all settles out.
Big one.
It's a big one. They're always big. Special thanks to our producer, Dr. Luke Rousey. He has not missed on any of his pro or college football bets this season.
Very
he
well
is 139-0 with the spread.
Incredible.
With the spread.
It's done well.
Might be unconfirmed.
Looking into that. We'll see y'all. Be good.